said, Siege of Shanghai is a city level where there's lots of skyscrapers and buildings and tunnels and a very sort of dense feeling to it, where infantry is the focus, and we have tanks rolling around, helicopters running through the skyscrapers, and jets just going wild everywhere. Whereas this is a much more open map. We like to feel like it's a bit more open, even though you are able to get some cover as an infantry. We wanted to focus on being able to get really great terrain in here, really great water, really great vegetation, and that's something that the power of the Frostbite 3 engine has really allowed us to do, is get this big spectrum from the closed cities with the giant skyscrapers to this vast open ocean environment, and I am just so pleased to be working with such a powerful tool.
Yeah, Frostbite 3 is certainly shown, it flexes muscles quite a bit with Battlefield 4.
It's been a challenge, actually, being able to bring this new level of dynamic gameplay and feeling to the levels. I mean, we brought it very strongly in Battlefield 3. Bad Company 2 introduced really great destruction. BF3 introduced micro-destruction, and now we brought it to the extra level with Levolution.
Yeah.
And that's something that, developing with that, pulling it to the next level, beating ourselves in destruction, has been difficult, but very, very rewarding. I mean, with the skyscrapers, we had, a skyscraper falling down, buildings being
no
torn
small
about.
feat.
Yeah, walls just being blown out, and all the things, like little tiny details, like canisters being destroyed and signs being taken out. It's a lot to think about, and then taking it to this side where, the waves change and become more dynamic, and the trees all get destroyed, the buildings that are on here completely get taken down. It can really change the way you play the field.
Yeah, and I do want to ask you about the Levolution, like what your influence has been in regards to that. Like, have you had the chance to work on some of the finer details of Levolution, like the skyscraper and whatnot? I know that you said the water effects was something that you worked on as well, but also the dynamic weather and how that kind of flowed in the map. What's the
well, we have an extremely talented team back at home that's been focusing a lot on Levolution, but the entire multiplayer team has been helping to contribute, of course, with providing design, feedback, play testing, and really coming up with the concepts for these, because when we started out, we weren't entirely sure what Levolution would become. When you, the players, come into the battlefield, it is what the game becomes. And that's why it's been extremely exciting to be here at Gamescom, to see how people are using the waves, see how people are using the containers where the doors open, and all of the things in between. Siege of Shanghai had the skyscraper that came down, but it also had little things like car alarms that go off when you bump them, metal detectors that go off when you run under them, and people use those to their advantage. I saw people spot another herd with their headphones, they heard an alarm go off, and so they snuck around with their heat vision and they were able to take them out from behind. And it was really cool to see people using those features that we put in and seeing that really come to life.
Yeah, I actually am pretty happy with the variety that you'll find with a lot of the maps. It certainly has been something that you don't see that much nowadays. Nowadays, it's here's a map. It's most maps are designed in a very typical 3-lane format. If it's like an arena shooter or something like that, with not a lot of variety in between there. And this game, I should say, takes that, kind of turns it on its head and says, all right, well, here's this approach, because Paracel Storm is a very different map. Again, we spoke about it right at the start of the interview. It's a very different map in Siege of Shanghai.
Yeah.
And then when I look at, I guess how you guys have really kind of just brought naval combat and all that other stuff into the play, and then the water and how that greatly impacts the boats, it kind of just turns everything on its head, turns traditional first-person shooters on its head with that Levolution aspect of it.
Definitely. I think that one of the things that Battlefield is really great at is that they provide a big variety. The entire spectrum, from big open spaces to close quarter combats, and especially with the classes, the vehicles, everything. Every type of playstyle is provided for. If you want to be the sniper that sits up in the tower, we've got that. If you want to be the guy that barrels through with his tank and just annihilates everything, we've got that. If you want to be the guy that's doing dogfighting in the skyscraper, in the cities with your jets, we've got that. I mean, everything. If you want to work with your squad, if you want to go it alone, we support all of those types of gameplay and allow that, because Battlefield just has all of these different types of maps, all of these types of classes, and you really feel that when you play. Yeah,
and that certainly has been a very awesome aspect, and something I've been seeing all week long, and also when I did the E3 live stream. So now I want to get into finer details of what you do, right? And I want to talk about I guess you could say map design, or what you do in the artistic realm of it, right?
Yes.
Now, you conceptualize a map, I'm assuming, because I've always been very interested in this, right? Like when you start at that base level, you're like, all right, we're going to design a map spaced around a couple islands. Let's see how we're going to make this one look. I guess, how does that process go? I mean, is there any cool things you could share with the community that's watching right now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this map, for instance, started with the concept that we had this great feature with the water gameplay that we had figured out was a really fun toy to play with. So we were like, we really want to put something with a lot of water. And there's all this conflict going on in the Southeast Asian areas with the Spratly Islands being contested for by major Asian countries. So we were finding a lot of reference with that in terms of military bases set up on islands and a lot of sort of presences on these really tiny islands which didn't otherwise seem to offer a lot of resources.
Yeah.
And so we found these islands that had just existed in the middle of the ocean and tried to recreate that. So one of the big focuses was, of course, you need really great sand textures and particles. You need really great vegetation that sells the idea that this is an island. You need really good water, and you need really good weather effects. And those are something that early on we decided to nail visually and really helped us pull everything together, as design-wise the map, you know, has to change as it's moving along, and we have to react to how. So we have daily playtests at the studio where we are playing it and giving feedback and just changing the layout in order to provide the most optimal gaming experience once we get it out here for you guys. It's now changed from a completely pristine desert island to this raging ocean with waves and a storm, and the lighting's changed and everything is completely different. The mood is entirely different on this island.
Yep.
So it really feels like a different space, and that's something that has been extremely rewarding to work with, but also very challenging because you can't always make everything work for all situations. But I think it adds that sense of this is a real space that actually exists, that has these weather changes, that isn't always exactly the same. Yep,
and I guess I gotta say how crazy it was designing a boat crashing into an island. Like, how crazy was that? That must have been something that you guys were like, I mean, Frostbite 3 is good, but man, that, no matter where you go, that's a challenge.
That was an extremely exciting moment. When our art director and designer decided to put that into our game, we all thought, we can never pull this off. How good can we make this look? But as pieces started coming in, because that's really what building a game is like. You have all these little puzzle pieces, you have this idea in your head of what it's going to be in the end, but when you finally see it come together, when you finally see the fans playing around this crashed ship on an island, when you finally see them reacting to these images, to experiencing what it's like to be next to a boat crashing into an island, that's when you feel like, wow, we've created an experience for people that's really quite important.
Yeah, unique and unlike any other. So it's pretty cool. But Linnea, right? Yes. I want to thank you so much for your time. Awesome interview. Thank you for the insight. I've always been very interested in art direction as well as map design, so greatly appreciated. And I hope to get a chance to speak with you again. So any last words?
I just want to say again, thank you to everyone on the live stream, everybody that's pre-ordered. It's because of you that we're here, so thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to be right back after this commercial break. I'm going to rip that guy off of that station over there and get him back here to do his job instead of him actually playing a video game, because like he thinks we're having fun here.
He's actually pretty good at it.
Oh, no, him? I'm way better than he is. I am like leaps and bounds. I'm like leaps and don't turn around. Come on.
Yeah, right? See?
Not even fair. All right, guys. So with that said, we're going to be right back after this brief commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Plenty more Battlefield 4 action coming at you with myself, Alex Mendez, and Corey Dunn. We'll see you on the other side.